I'm Wiesneski, and I'm a cadet at your academy. I'm an aero major, aeronautical engineering with an Arabic minor. Well, I chose the aero major simply because I thought it would help me be a better pilot. And I kind of wanted something challenging because I'd always been challenged in high school, and I was always trying to find more things to do. And so I thought, aero major, hey, that's going to be a great opportunity for me to really challenge myself academically. And then I found out about the Arabic language, and I really enjoyed and loved learning about the culture and the language, and so I picked that as my minor. I wanted to be an officer first, but then a pilot second. I came here thinking I was going to be a fighter pilot or wanted to be a fighter pilot, and then I changed my mind, and I was like, you know what, I like cargo better, just because I wanted to do troop transport. I've always loved flying. Even in commercial airliners, I love sitting there and looking out the window and wondering like if I'll ever be able to do that. Being a firstie is kind of nerve-wracking because we're finding out our AFSCs in a little bit. Hopefully, pilot will be mine. My parents didn't help me. They said that like, oh, I'm not gonna help you. This is all your responsibility. I'll support you, but I won't help you with it. The nomination process was probably the biggest thing for me. It was just a really big worry time, I guess. I had applied to all three, my 2 senators and my congressman, and so going through the interviews with them and then waiting to hear if I'd gotten a nomination or not, that was probably the most nerve-wracking part. In processing, I flew out with one of my friends, and we stayed at his sponsor house. They just drove us to the academy, so it was a very nerve-wracking day for in processing. I was like so sick the morning of, and I was just hoping to get through it and not like pass out or like get ill at in processing. So I knew I had to make it through the first day, and I would be okay after that. When they started teaching us the 7 basic responses, and I had known them from Civil Air Patrol, but I had gotten them out of order. When they said, does anybody know the 7 basic responses? And I stuck my hand out, and they called on me, and then I got them out of order, and they're like, no, you're wrong. And I was like, oh my gosh, everything's over. I don't know what to do. And so it was a very stressful bus ride. I wasn't as affected by the yelling as I thought I would have been because it wasn't that big of a deal to me. The females in my basic squadron were very close, and we are still. I mean, we hang out all the time, and it's actually really fun because we'll go out to dinner and everybody will catch up. Our second beast flight comm he had just finished Marine OCS, so he was very different, I guess, to put it in a nice way. He scared us. We remember because he had taps on his shoes from OCS, and we knew something was gonna go wrong. And so the first time he came in and picked us up, he said flight, like flight tench hut, but we couldn't understand him. And so it took us about 5 or 6 tries until we figured it out. And so he's like, well, finally. My flight comm appointed me our little flight lead, and I was losing my voice. And all I remember was my flight comm going, Wiesneski, Wiesneski, get over here. And I was just like, oh my gosh. And I just like start running over, and I was just like, what? Yes, sir. And he's like, fix that. And so I'd be like, come on guys, let's go fix it. I think that was the biggest thing, was just learning that you can't do everything, knowing that you can't do everything, and that you have to lean on your teammates to help you out. And so I think that was one of the biggest things that I think we all learned from basic. I didn't have that big of a problem with freshman academics. It was hard, but I mean, there's an adjustment period for everyone. School had always been easy for me in high school. I never had a problem with it, and I could take a test and not have to study for it and still get an A. But here, it's totally different, and it's college. What I learned from the registrar, I guess, is that they wanted to push forward all of my chemistry and physics and math. So I was already in discrete as a second semester freshman, and I guess it helped because I'm an aero major now, but I did a lot of homework and a lot of projects and a lot of labs. I got pretty good grades, and I really enjoyed my classes, so I didn't hate it like some people did. I mean, I know from my classmates that some people just hate academics, and they just wish that like they could just do military stuff, and I was like, no, I like the academics here. I mean, it's challenging, but it's still like my degree. Most college bands are there to be music majors, and they're there to play their instrument and to get better and to learn about music, and we're here to be officers. And so that's one of the things that we all kind of wrestle with a little bit and say, well, I want to be better at playing trumpet, or I want to be better at playing the drums or whatever, but I'm here to be an officer, and I have to focus on that training first. And so when I came to appointee orientation, my cadet that I stayed with, she was actually on Drum Bugle Corps. And so she was like, yeah, you need to find an outlet for yourself. You need to find something that can take your mind off the academics, off the stress of being a freshman, off that kind of thing, and you need to find something fun that you enjoy to do. So I'd always enjoyed playing my trumpet. It was something I had just been used to. I did it in high school and middle school and all that. So it was kind of something familiar, I guess, but it was also an outlet for me. Drum Bugle Corps was the natural option for me to choose, and so we got started literally the day, one of the couple days before we actually got accepted. Oklahoma was probably one of my favorite, and then Michigan and Notre Dame, because my parents came to the Notre Dame game. On D&B, we actually have our own kind of staff that it's kind of similar to how a cadet squadron runs. We have a cadet corps commander, who's kind of like a squadron commander, and then we have a director of operations, executive officer, and all these different like academic chief and all that. They kind of run the administrative side. The drum majors are in charge of the show. We're also there to provide somebody to just talk to if somebody needs or has a problem with something or something like that. They can come in and be like, hey, I need help with this. Or we can take somebody aside and say, hey, let's work on your drill fundamentals a little bit. My director had come up to me and said, would you be interested in being drum major? And I said, well, that would be awesome because I have to get my wisdom teeth taken out this year anyways, so I won't be able to play for about a month. We've had male cadets for as long as I've been on corps, so I might be the first female drum major, I don't know. But it's not that big of a deal anymore, I think, just because I think we've accepted as a culture, as a military culture, that women are important too. It shouldn't, I don't think it's an issue for us anymore to, oh, this is the first female drum major, this is the first this and that, first female this and this. So I actually kind of like that it's not that big of a deal. You have to make sure you want it. Because I know a lot of people, not a lot of people come here, but some people come here and they say, oh, this isn't for me, and I didn't want this, I didn't think this is what it was gonna be like. So I want to make sure that people know that they want to come here and they know that they want to commit to it, because it's hard to see people leave during basic and then realize that somebody else wanted that spot. I would say take as many honors and advanced placement classes as you can, just because the academics are so much harder here. And there's such a demand on your time that you have to know how to manage your time. You can't learn that freshman year. I'm Cadet Wiesneski, and I'm a cadet at your academy.